Superman 14, Brian Michael Bendis writing with Ivan Reis on the art. Oh, and I think there was a second artist in this one as well. It starts off with a scene, it says today, and it's on Thanagar, and it's Superman, Supergirl, Superboy, Krypto, with Zod and Zod's wife and son. And they're marching to this, the council of like everyone, like all the alien races, and they're like, "Hey, there's all this conflict because of Rogozar ends now. We're going to do something about this." You can see like Guardians, Dominators, all sorts of obviously Thanagarians and tons of things. But we go back to yesterday, which is where we kind of left off the story, and it's Superman and Jor-El are at the destructions of Krypton. Rogozar shows up in a ship with Zod, and I did think it's a bit weird here how Zod just, as soon as they get to Krypton, decides, what, I'm going to start pretending to be on his side and just attack him. And that felt a bit weird to just do it at the start of an issue like this. However, it is interesting seeing like Clark's, I have to go and stop him, and Jor-El's like, no, he's going to do what you can't. He's going to like actually kill Rogozar, and he wants to go out anyway. Jor-El gives him a respirator essentially, or like a shielding thing for the kryptonite that's in the the vicinity. It won't last for too long, but it's enough for a trip kind of thing. But they get really fighting. Zod's just like blasting his heat vision into Rogozar, and the fight really gets going. Superman, the reason why he goes out is to try and rescue Zod, because Zod is fighting out in this kryptonite. And the big moment here, reveal wise, is that Zar is also hurt by kryptonite. Rogozar in some way is Kryptonian, and that's very interesting. So that's a great moment. That's a great big reveal. And Rogozar starts fighting them. He gets his axe. He's going to swing it at them, and the axe goes out of his hand. And you get a nice big reveal of Supergirl, who's the one who's grabbed him. So her, John, and Krypto have just shown up. Who obviously, if you've read Supergirl last issue, they kind of splintered off and did their own thing for an issue, and now they're back. And there's a nice moment here where Jor-El looks kind of shocked, and he's like, the House of El. It's the first time he's seen the family kind of together, ever really, since Krypton. So it's a nice little beat. So we have Superman and Zod fighting side by side, taking on Rogozar, which is something we kind of thought might happen for a long time. But this is when all the Thanagarian ships show up and basically say, we have to bring you with us. So this gets us back up to where we started. It's the L's and the Zods coming into Thanagar. They don't actually want to arrest Superman because obviously Superman's Superman, and he's like saved the universe like countless times. They know his deal. But it's actually John says, this is kind of silly, the way that all this stuff happens, and Krypton being destroyed was because there was a secret group that worked, behind the shadows, and it was all this espionage stuff, and it was people not telling each other things. And he inspires an idea, he's like, what about like something like the United Nations, like Earth, where you're supposed to like help each other out? Why don't we have something like that for the planets? So Superman essentially pitches this to all these alien like diplomats and leaders. No, we're going to end this now. We're going to start something new that actually keeps everything in the public eye and is like a proper avenue for this. And so he's made his pitch. It doesn't sound like they're enthusiastic because there's no answer. And John says, how do we get them to believe us? And then you turn the page, and out of a portal in the sky, the Legion of Superheroes emerges. And they're like, hey, we're the Legion of Superheroes. We're from the blah, blah, blah century, and 31st, that was it. Is it usually the 31st, or is it usually the 32nd?
Pretty sure it's always the 31st.
Okay, well, they're going to do a 30-second thing soon, because I remember reading that there's like
yeah, I think that's actually been changed. I think that's been dropped. I think that I remember reading about that in the last couple of weeks, that it was announced as 32nd, and that was, it's weird, they're doing 32nd.
Yeah, okay.
And got to this, it's like, well, actually.
I mean, that's easy enough to change. You just have to change the lettering a couple of times, basically.
Yeah.
So, no, you got some of the key usual suspects. And it's like, hey, this is the day that started everything. This is the day that led to kind of our peaceful future, because of what you did in this day. So it's really kind of setting up, the new kind of like seed for what the Legion are, and they're like, hey, we want to like invite you to come with us, and offer you a place. And Superman's like, well, that's an honor, but like I do have a lot of responsibilities. He's like, oh, sorry, Superman, no offense, but we weren't talking to you, we were talking to John. So the end of the book is John like, huh? Because
that's pretty much because they just, I think it was today or yesterday, released the cover for Superman 15.
Yeah.
And it's basically that.
Yeah, because it's Supergirl, Superman, and then the Millennium issue 1 and 2 are leading into the actual Legion ongoing, which is launching. So this is kind of the first real thing that's leading into it. It's the conclusion of the story. It doesn't really feel like the end of Zar yet, though, because we just learned that he's in some way Kryptonian, so we're definitely going to come back to him at some point in some way, although maybe more of a Hannibal Lecter type thing, or maybe he'll break out or whatever, but there's definitely some more to do with him, but we've sort of wrapped that up for now, and we're setting up this Legion stuff for a couple of issues, and then we'll see, where Superman goes after that. But I do like that Superman and action are so different. And, one feels more like just the supers, and you get John and Supergirl in there from time to time, and we're doing cosmic stuff. Action is the Daily Planet stuff, and a bit more grounded in, espionage, I guess. So, no, dig it.
What did Matt say?
What did Matt say for Superman? Good question. Legion is long lived. Is the first thing it says. Zod face turn was exceptionally well handled. I feel the unity. I don't know if he means the moment where he actually attacks Zod, or he attacks Zar, because that kind of felt weird that it got thrown out there like that. It didn't feel like it was inspired by that much. Outside of just being like, you brought us to Krypton? Okay, you know what? Screw it, I'm going to hit you. But him working with Superman, I liked a lot. Like that felt like, because he actually says to like El, what's the plan? Like there is a moment of like, oh. Like they're actually working together. It's not just us punching the same guy. He's actually asking for his like plan or his advice. Still wonder about the delay and if it really changed anything in the issue. My guess, if I was to guess, this is that some of the Legion outfits got changed, and that's what they changed.
Possibly. I've seen some speculation that they were going to, because obviously there was the whole thing about whether or not it was Lightning Lad's race, right? And then it came out, and it was kind of what we were expecting in this issue anyway. There was some speculation that they were going to change it. That's why they pulled the issues, because they didn't want them out in the wild and then change it because it would look bad. And then it kind of leaked anyway, and they went, well, shit, now we can't do it. We're just going to have to stick with what we've got. So basically, just reprinted them identically is what is what some people have been saying.
They did change the cover though, right? Because that was their excuse. That was their excuse.
Yes, they did change the cover. All the rest of the pages.
I don't believe for a second that's the real reason, but that was what they said publicly.
Yes, the cover makes no sense given that on the same week other books came out with covers still with the Year of the Villain branding that didn't have a Year of the Villain scene in it.
Yes. I mean, they kind of loosely have the villain use whatever Lex gave them, so that's kind of why it has the branding of the gift.
Oh no, it didn't in the issue in some of the issues in that week.
In that week, okay.
Yeah. The original week Superman was supposed to come out.
I don't remember what happened that week.
It was, I think it was Catwoman. People were using as an example because there was nothing in it in that issue.
So Matt gave that an 8. I am going to concur with that and give it an 8 also. Not quite as good as Action, but really, really solid, and excited to see what they do with the Legion.